With us now on Chaos TV, as part of DisAbility Alliance, we're joined by Tim Jones, Carole Theobald and Lindsey Cooper. Tim is here from Cornwall Memory Cafe Network, Carole from Eyesight Cornwall, and Lindsey is the project coordinator for Active 8. Welcome everyone, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks for inviting us.
All good. It's lovely to have you all. You're all looking very happy. Lovely to see some smiling faces there. Doing lovely. So let's start off with to hear a little bit about each of the projects. Maybe we'll start with you, Tim. Could you tell us about the Cornwall Memory Cafe Network, please?
Well, the Memory Cafe Network is an umbrella organisation for the 40 memory cafes that we have in Cornwall. They have a history running from around about 13 years ago up to some that have just been created in the last year. So we have 40 memory cafes, all offering opportunities for people with memory loss to come together to support each other along with their families and carers and friends.
That's such a lovely cause, and there's so many. I can think of quite a few people just in my life alone who this would be so helpful for and be effective for. And it's quite a horrible thing. I don't think people quite realise what the effect is like of having a loved one going through that kind of mental degradation. Should I call it the loss of memory? It really does hit home when it's someone you know and love. Carole, I would like to move on to you now. Could you tell us about Eyesight Cornwall and your members, please?
Good afternoon, everyone. So Eyesight Cornwall is Cornwall's charity for the visually impaired. So the charity has just celebrated 165 years since it was established in 1856. So it's widely recognised as Cornwall's oldest charity. So we support anyone that's visually impaired whose sight can't be corrected by wearing glasses or surgery. We basically sit in and around sort of the NHS and the social services. So we support probably around 4,000 people a year. There are 22,000 people in Cornwall whose sight can't be corrected by wearing glasses or having surgery. And so the support can either be something where they may go to one of our activity clubs or social clubs on a regular basis. We also provide them with magnifiers. We've got assistive technology suite. We help them in their own home with daily living and equipment. We're a small team. We're about 14 staff, and we're based in Truro.
Now, I actually, when having a little read through things, I recognised Eyesight Cornwall, so I had a quick little look, and I've just realised I've got a friend who's actually a part of Eyesight who does some video game streaming, and I think he does it under the
Dom?
That's Dom, that's him. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What a top chap he is. I see him quite regularly doing his streaming. It's nice to see him doing his stuff.
He's fantastic. He's so a third of our staff are visually impaired, which is fantastic. So we can't really go wrong. And Dom has been with the organisation. He won't mind me sharing his age. I think he's just over 30 now. He's been with the organisation for just over 10 years, and he's a massive gamer, big gamer. Yeah.
We don't have so much contact these days, but bless him, he's a top chap, and much like myself, we both do our streaming, and I've popped in now and again silently, just had a quick cheeky watch. It's lovely to see he's doing well. I'll come back to you in a minute, Carole, because I could very easily talk about that all day, and we haven't got that time. Lindsey, I'll come over to you. Active 8 looks amazing. Could you tell us a little bit about the charity, please?
Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure quite how to follow on the conversation about washing our legs in the shower, but I'll try. So Active 8 is a Cornwall-based charity. So we work with young people with physical disabilities who are aged between 13 and 30. And essentially what we do is we put on activities and events to really build a network of friends, so getting them to meet people with shared experiences and get to know each other, really. So we do independence workshops alongside it, but the main focus for us is quite a good one, is just to make friends and build a network of support for each other, really.
Fantastic. So all three of you together, I mean, you're in such brilliant positions to help so many people, and obviously you're all part of DisAbility Alliance. I'm trying to say that correctly, DisAbility Alliance. I want to ask you what that involves. I'm going to leave it open to who wants to answer these questions first, because I feel like these are all for everyone here.
Well, the Memory Cafe Network, we're probably the junior member so far, in so much as the most recently joined to the Alliance. It's had brilliant benefits for us as an organisation, just coming together to understand how other organisations work and to be able to work together to make grants for funding that we can focus on the provision that we will work to provide has been really helpful. So we've just taken delivery this month of a coordinator who's supporting us for 6 months, which is brilliant because the Memory Cafe Network, we're all volunteers, we have no paid staff. And through the DisAbility Alliance, we've been able to have this brilliant offer of help for 6 months, which is fantastic. That's Kirsty, who's working with us as our coordinator and is the person to contact if you need to know any more about the Memory Cafe Network.
Oh, that's fantastic. Carole, how about yourself? What does being a part of the DisAbility Alliance involve for you?
I obviously is in direct contrast to Tim in a way that we're a larger organisation, not necessarily in scale, though we are in terms of we've got paid members of staff, but we're far more established, and we have a couple of NHS contracts. But I think for me, the DisAbility Alliance, that it's the bit behind the scenes for me. It's the fact that Cornwall Council, the local authority, via Jane Johnson, who's the Chief Executive of DisAbility Cornwall, who chairs the Alliance, have backed the idea of having this group to lead the organisations which support people with disabilities in Cornwall. Now, clearly, the Alliance itself, the main committee, doesn't have everybody on the committee that represents all the organisations that represent a lot, disabilities in Cornwall, because clearly if that happened, we wouldn't get very much done. And I think that leads to the point where I have joined on behalf of Eyesight Cornwall. But also, quite frankly, the reason why I stay on it is that actually it's action orientated. There are many groups and boards that you can sit on in Cornwall, and it sometimes feels that it's just the recirculation of information and reporting in, whereas that sort of connection should be done outside of things that like boards or committees. So for me, it's very action orientated, and as I say, Jane, who chairs it, and the backing of her organisation means that the work is very focused, and also it's very alive to what's going on. Hence the subject we're going to come on to in a moment around volunteering. If an issue arises, we then steer our meetings and our actions towards that. And I feel so far, and we haven't been around or established for that long, I think everyone feels the same, that it's very action orientated.
That's really good stuff to hear. And I'm loving the responses that you're giving. I love the fact that you're all coming together to try and action things from not just your own sort of bubbles of areas that you're doing, but to help each other, to help other people outside, which I think, should always really be the goal, rather than being so, no, we just do our own thing. The whole point of everything you guys all do is to help each other. So why not? This is such a brilliant idea. I'm not going to keep asking the same question, but Lindsey, I will move on to this next one for you. Obviously, we've had the pandemic. It's been an absolute nightmare. How has it affected the activities, and what effects it had on your members?
Yeah, it's had a huge impact on members. So from the beginning of the pandemic, we decided as a charity, Activate was going to carry on doing events online. Pretty much all of our members were advised by the government to shield. So they had months on end not leaving the house, not having that interaction other than on Zoom. So although we sort of supported them through that with more one-to-one work, we're now finding that people need more support still to get beyond the pandemic now and get back to building their confidence. And a lot of the members we work with already lack a lot of confidence. So having spent so long inside without socialising face to face, we definitely have some members who have taken a backward step because of the pandemic. But it's really great now to be able to work with them moving forwards, working on sort of their own individual goals, really, in terms of getting out and sort of building their own personal confidence.
That's lovely. It's great to keep stepping forward and trying to leave things, because you can't really undo what's happened. It was terrible for everyone. There's been a lot of consequences, but there's now things opening up so we can move forward and help each other in what is feeling like sort of like a new age after the pandemic of the way we do things. Tim, I can imagine a similar sort of thing for you. It affected your members quite a lot, didn't it?
Absolutely. For people living with dementia and their carers, it's been a really challenging challenge with a huge C. I think it's that sense of isolation. People who have maybe been receiving support, getting that opportunity to get out and to meet others, all that came to a standstill. So people with memory loss have really experienced that same loss of confidence that Lindsey is describing. The memory cafes, the majority of the 40 memory cafes continue to reach out to the people they support, to their participants. They did that by sharing a reminiscence newspaper that the network provides, as well as newsletters from their local cafe team, and some were taking treats out, such as cream tea afternoons, flowers, and craft opportunities. So the cafe's done a great deal of work staying in touch, and now we've started to reopen. And the great thing is that over half of the memory cafes have already opened. Probably another 10 have a clear plan to be back and open by the end of the year. So only a small number have yet to decide when they're going to open their doors again. It's a challenge encouraging those people who have lost their confidence to come out, though.
It's great news to hear things are going very much back on track. I completely agree. It's very hard to get people who, especially if there's people who already have a bit more extroverted, to get them to go... Or introverted. That will be the one I'm looking for. Yeah. You know what? Talking of memory, aren't we? Yeah, it's already there's already difficulty there to help those kind of people get out. And after something like this, where it's become more normal to become like that... that difficulty is magnified quite a lot. I want to come back to you now, Carole, if you don't mind. I believe you mentioned volunteers just now, if I'm keeping track of things well. Could we talk about what kind of activities that volunteers need to get involved with, and what age the volunteers can join and help?
So, as we've just been discussing volunteers at the Alliance meeting recently, I think I raised it because I was looking for opportunities and also to hear from other organisations about their experiences of the recruitment of volunteers. So just very briefly, we have around about 230 volunteers. Wow. And they currently do a range of things for us for the charity. I mean, some of our volunteers have been with us for 30 years, and they are very long-standing and very committed. So they will either be volunteer drivers. So we have volunteer drivers that take people to their eye clinic appointments at Trelisk. So, you could have somebody travelling from Camelford who hasn't got a family network or hasn't got friends because they're older anyway, doesn't have friends with vehicles, with cars, access to cars. So how do they get to the hospital? So we will take them to their appointments. We will also offer transport to our centre in Truro, or to one of our appointment centres. So we run appointment centres in 5 locations across Cornwall as well. We also then have volunteers that run our activity clubs. So around about sort of 220 people, visually impaired people, regularly go to a club, either weekly or monthly. And they are all those clubs are run by volunteers. So, for example, we've got two rifle shooting clubs, and that requires people to be trained rangers to set up the rifles and run them safely, and they are volunteers. And then we also have people that organise social lunch clubs. So I went to one yesterday, the reopening of the lunch club in Launceston, which is around about 25 visually impaired people going once a fortnight to a different restaurant, and we need drivers and coordinators to get them out of their own homes, into the vehicles, to the restaurant, and then helping them once they're actually in the restaurant. So, and then finally, and not least really, we then have volunteers within the site centre in Truro. So that might be help with doing satisfaction surveys, which we're required to do in terms of our contracts. Helping just do some general admin, which sounds very basic, but it's the basis of everything that we do. So we pride ourselves in getting back to people. So we would probably receive about 40 phone calls a day, and none of those are easy and simple, quick wins. They all require some help and support. Being visually impaired means they don't have access to write down phone numbers or go on the internet easily. So actually all of the work we do, it takes quite a while to do. So quite a range of volunteers that we're seeking.
I mean, just a tad. I mean, it's not often you get volunteers that need to be licensed for, for setting up rifles. That one caught me off guard in there, I won't lie. Absolutely fantastic. And I completely agree. It doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're setting up rifles or you're doing the admin work back in Truro. It's all, everyone is valued as much as the other, and it's all so necessary. And it's so lovely that you get such a great response and you've got so many volunteers. Can I ask the same question to you, Lynn? I'm mixing you all up now. Yes, Lindsay. Can I go on to you, Lindsay? Can I ask the same question? What kinds of activities do you need volunteers to get involved with, and do you have any kind of age range that you're looking for? Oh, we've got no sound coming from you, Lindsay. Are you muted?
Yeah, you'd think after a year of being on Zoom, I would remember to press the unmute button, but
don't worry.
It's always me.
Well, don't worry. I mentioned streaming earlier. I do it myself when I'm at home. I do it here at the studio. We all do it.
We try that again, shall we?
Yeah, go on. You go for it.
So at Activate, we look for volunteers who are 18 and upwards. And we, again, similar to Carole's, we have a variety of different roles that people can get involved in based on what their interest is and what they think they could offer us as a charity, really. That's everything from trustees who obviously discuss the running of the charity, help us shape our charity as we move forwards. That's said, we also have more sort of hands-on with the members' roles, so people like activities facilitators. So if anyone out there would like to deliver sort of a one-off workshop with our group, please do get in touch and let us know. So we're always after new and different things for the groups to try. Or anyone who wants work with the young people on more sort of a regular basis. We look for people to come along with the group and actually take part in the activities. So to get chatting with the groups, to help facilitate in terms of, maybe push a wheelchair, maybe help someone if they can't reach something. But that's quite a fun role because you also get to take part in the activities yourself. And that's how I started with Activate. So I started as a volunteer about 3 years ago now. And I remember chatting to our manager, John, at the time, who said, will you come and volunteer with us? We want you to come along, take part in some cool activities and chat to some people. And I was trying to work out what the catch was, but there really wasn't one. It was just to come along, have a go. So through the volunteering, I also got to take part in, water skiing, rock climbing, abseiling. We've done crate stacking, we've done craft workshops, and all of these things that, I was volunteering, but I was also having a good time alongside. So yeah, there really is something for everyone depending on what you want to do.
That's really lovely. A great advertisement there for volunteering, I will say as well. Tim, I want to ask the same question to you. What are you looking for in your volunteers, and what's the typical age range you're looking for?
Right, we're very open-minded. We're certainly very keen to have a intergenerational mix. So whatever the age of the potential volunteer, they'll certainly be welcome at the memory cafes. All the memory cafes are independent, so they have different levels of established teams. The great thing about the memory cafes is that we're all volunteers. So a volunteer joining knows that they'll be joining a team of keen, enthusiastic fellow volunteers. Unlike Lindsey, we haven't done any abseiling or anything along those lines, but we've got an open mind, and we do aim to do engaging activities, get out and about. That's certainly a speciality of some of the cafes. Conversation making probably is the greatest contribution that a volunteer can make. The opportunity to really listen to what the person living with memory loss and their family wish to talk about, and engage with them, enabling them to lead on the conversation. So conversation making and joining in. Certainly people with craft skills are very welcome. But
I just want to sort of grab onto the listening point there. It's so important, so important, isn't it? I feel that's something we don't do enough of, as a society. It's just listening to people.
I think a lot of people can feel very, very isolated very, very quickly, especially when you have a disability or memory loss or anything along those lines. The rest of the world seems to pass by.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And someone just comes and has a really good chat with you about whatever it is you want to talk about. It just makes you feel like valued.
Absolutely, yeah. Guys, thank you very much, obviously, for everything you've been doing. I want to ask you something else now. Obviously, there may be people who want to volunteer but can't commit. There may be people who want to get in touch, sign up with individual organisations for the longer term sort of volunteer roles. What would you say to these people, and how can people get in touch? Let's start off with you, Tim, seeing as we would ask with you.
Well, you heard me talk about Kirsty, who's just joined us as our coordinator. She'll be delighted to hear from potential volunteers. So that's by email. That's Kirsty at disabilitycornwall.org.uk. You can find us on the net under Cornwall Memory Cafes as well.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Tim. Same for you, Carole. What would you say to anyone who's worried about volunteering but can't commit, and basically any way of getting in touch?
So I think the great thing about the volunteers we're looking for two separate groups. We're particularly looking for drivers at the moment. And that would either be drivers that can commit to maybe the same journey every week. So taking a couple of people to a club, and we would only match you up with people more or less in your area. And that might be a one-way journey. And so we pay 45 pence a mile for the driver, and they will get their return fuel as well if they have to go home. So we're looking for somebody that can possibly commit to the same journey, either once a fortnight or once a month or once a week if possible, but we might match you up with somebody else that can do alternative weeks. So it's more about the commitment to the journey, but we just need to know what that commitment is. And then we have opportunities for other drivers, whereby if we put a call out, say, in the Camelford area, it might be, we're looking for somebody next Wednesday to take somebody not far from you to the hospital. Can you do it? You can't do it, that's absolutely fine. But it's about asking that question. So just because you are registered with us doesn't mean you have to do the job that we're asking you to do. It's a voluntary thing. So it's about having that register. And there are pockets of Cornwall which we're really struggling in. So Falmouth, for example, we're really struggling with drivers in Falmouth. I mean, it's quite a highly populated area, but we're really struggling to get drivers in Falmouth. And at the moment, we have to get a driver from Camborne to drive to Falmouth, to then drive to Truro, whereas actually it'd be much better if we had a driver in Falmouth that could take somebody to Truro to the hospital appointment. So just because you register with us does not mean that then you have to do the job. That's the plea I would make. It's about putting yourself forward. And if you're not able to do it, that's absolutely fine. We understand.
Absolutely lovely. And yeah, I completely see your point there. Lindsey, same sort of thing to you. How can volunteers get in touch, and what's the sort of thing you would say to people who want to volunteer but aren't sure about schedules?
I would say if you're not sure about your schedule, just get in touch with whichever organisation is that has piqued your fancy. Get in touch and just let them know what you can offer. As Carole said, we're not demanding. If you can't make a particular date, that's absolutely fine. I know that with Activate, with our activities, what we like to do is advertise the dates that we are going out, and then our volunteers just let us know which of those dates they're available to come along and help out. So we don't have sort of a certain number of events that you have to attend. We just say, if you say, yes, I can come, please turn up. But if you know that it's a date you can't do, then there's no pressure to come along on that particular day. So get in touch with people, let them know what you can offer. If you've got a particular interest that you would like to be involved in, let us know that as well, and we'll try and match you up with events that are sort of linked to your interests as well.
Fantastic stuff. Now, before we sort of go our separate ways here, I want to say thank you, and also we've got some photos from the Eyesight and Activate projects now. Carole, Lindsey, could you tell us about these? I think we're starting off with Carole. Let's have a look at these.
Oh, so that's the shooting. They're actually looking at the scoring. So they're the targets. Yeah. So that's the rifle. So you can either stand and the rifle is placed on a platform at shoulder height, or you can sit, and then the rifle is in front of you, and you can see that the chap sitting down is wearing headphones. So the shooting is done by sonar. So when the rifle is hitting the target, which I had a go last week, actually, I did score a 10. But even though I'm sighted, the target is so far away and there's a shining light on the target that I actually couldn't see the target. I had to use the headphones. But when it's a high-pitched sound, that's when you're nearest the centre.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a really cool way of doing things.
That's not one of Eyesight Cornwall, so that must be an Activate.
Oh, is this someone else's photo?
That's somebody else from the DisAbility Cornwall. Yeah, that's one of the activities that has been funded actually more recently.
Well, it's still lovely to see. There we go. We're moving on again.
That's one of ours. That's one of our drivers. So that's one of our clients sitting in the passenger seat there, and you can see he's holding a symbol cane, which is one of those folded up canes, which basically is not one of the canes that you have on the floor for finding out where the cobbles are, where the steps are. That's actually literally a symbol cane to say, I'm visually impaired, I may need some assistance. And that's one of our drivers.
Oh, that's amazing. I didn't know that, actually. I thought they were all for being able to sort of see and feel yourself around. I didn't know there was literally... No, that's quite cool.
The one that does that has a roller ball on the end.
Yes, I've seen those. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And that one is the symbol cane folds up, and it's literally for holding, because a lot of visually impaired people don't look visually impaired. And if you're not careful, somebody's going to brush past you and maybe knock you over.
Amazing. Brilliant. There we go.
That's just the inside. That's the driver again.
Looks like they're having a lovely chat. Lovely to see.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. We're going to have a look now at some photos from Activate. So, Lindsey, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick run through of these.
Yeah, sure. I can't remember which. Oh, yeah, I sent you this.
Brilliant.
I did. So this was an activity that we did with our younger group. So we've got a 13 to 18 group and an 18 to 30 group. So this was the younger group. They had to create a catwalk outfit from whatever I had provided. So this is a couple of our members modelling a fabulous outfit.
And why not? Of course. I mean, they're doing better than I do when I get up and get dressed in the morning, to be honest with you. So, looking fantastic.
So this was one of the first activities we did with the young group. So this was a graffiti art workshop.
I'm not going to lie. We've noticed that's Skyrim, isn't it? In the back left there, we've very much noticed the gaming one straight away.
Yeah, there are a couple of gaming and a couple of sporting ones in there.
Fantastic.
And that's one of our members having a go at the spray painting.
Brilliant. Doing better than I would, I'll tell you that.
So this was a trip we did with the group to Cirque Berserk. So it was a circus up in Exeter, that one.
Looking good. Lovely to see the happy smiling faces.
And one of our members at Player Ready, so that was down in Truro. So we did a virtual reality gaming session.
Oh, I'm not going to even get started. I love that place. Absolutely brilliant.
It was great fun because we've got one member of staff with vertigo. There's one activity where you can walk the plank, and visually you can see yourself walking along a plank on about the 40th floor of a building. And you open the lift and you step out and you're walking across what looks like a 40-story drop. And I went out to get pizzas. I came back and she was curled up on the floor trying to hold on to this plank.
Oh no!
As the members came up and tried to push her off the plank.
Oh, rude.
I have yet to be able to do any VR without feeling motion sick.
It does. It is quite surprising how realistic it is. Yeah. That's
incredible.
That's lovely. Guys, I know I've asked you this sort of once already. I'm going to ask you again, starting with you, Tim, just to get the information out there. Where can we find out more about Cornwall's memory cafes and the Memory Cafe Network?
So online, have a look at Cornwall Memory Cafes. That will take you to the website. And by email, you can contact Kirsty at disabilitycornwall.org.uk.
Lovely.
And Carole, the amazing Eyesight Cornwall, where can we find you guys?
You can either call us on Truro 261 110. You can have a look at our website, which is Eyesight Cornwall. So that's the letter I, sightcornwall.org.uk. And if you're interested in volunteering, you could email us at info@eyesightcornwall.org.uk.
Fantastic. And Lindsey, last but not least, where can we find more information on Activate?
Yeah, so again, we're all over the socials and we've got a website. So it's active and then the number 8, online.org is our website. So get in touch, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or via email. So it's manager@active and then the number 8, online.org.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Tim, Carole, Lindsey, I'm going to just make your names up now, join them all together because that's something I do apparently. Thank you all so much for coming along. You're all fantastic people doing some amazing work along with everyone else you work alongside. Been an amazing interview. Really enjoyed this. It'd be lovely to chat to you all again. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye and thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Amazing. What a lovely group of people doing some amazing stuff. Again, thank you for joining us on Chaos TV. That was for Cornwall's Memory Cafes, Eyesight Cornwall and Activate, all part of the Disability Alliance, all doing fantastic work. We've got a short video with more information about joining the Humans of the Peninsula project.